We drank Shiner out of Shiner at their own event. That's a good event.
They need to just have a Lucy machine for drunk guys like me.
That is like pure propaganda from Big Chocolate Milk.
Wes is a responsible adult. Travis is an idiot.
Everybody knows Marty Smith. They don't know Marty Smith, they don't know ESPN.
We're like the MJ Scottie Pippen of Can Jam.
Don't worry about accolades, go chase the ring.
I don't think wheat toast exists at Waffle House, Wesley.
It does. I ate some this weekend.
I have a bachelorette party all next week at my house in Charlotte.
You're not responsible for buying the decorations of that, are you?
Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Marty Smith podcast here at Outsider. It is week 2 of college football. Wesley, I don't know where he is. He looks like he's out in the wilderness somewhere sitting on a camping chair from a Costco.
I'm not going to lie. I'm drunk.
One of the greatest moments of my career. Travis is 100% still drunk.
Can you hear my voice?
This morning, Travis calls me this morning, and it sounded like he chewed an entire box of Marlboro Reds.
Just ate a cactus.
I mean, it was the. I mean, I don't even know how to describe what he sounded like. It's obvious to me that he consumed mass quantities of Tito's vodka in Columbus, Ohio this weekend. Congratulations, Travis, as your Ohio State Buckeyes emerge victorious.
Travis, you
over
must
the
have
Notre
been
Dame Fighting
a little
Irish.
bit there, huh?
Really good football game. I really enjoyed watching it. I was at a margarita party at my neighbor Dave's house, Dave and Catherine, and I was the life of the party. Let me tell you, I holed up over in the corner and watched the Ohio State Notre Dame game the whole time. Did sing some Kenny Chesney, She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy karaoke, and turned the party out like Hammer in '88. But I had a really great weekend. I was in Arkansas. Travis was in Columbus. Wesley Blankenship's Georgia Bulldogs looked like world beaters. That was a dominant performance against the Oregon Ducks. And Dan Lanning, in his first game as a head coach for the Ducks. Wesley, is Athens just everybody's now expecting a national title, I'm sure?
No, man. We've been here before. This is just another season for the Dogs. Business as usual.
I don't know if you have been here before.
Curtis Smart. No, we've been here
I would
before.
disagree that you've been here before.
We've been here before.
I mean, look, I think
no, dude, we are ready to beat everybody by 50 points. It's going to be an amazing season.
Yeah, that sounds more like it.
Yep.
That sounds exactly like the narrative that I expect down there. My guy
That's what everyone says in Athens. They don't have to speak
Pappy
English.
Bennett was hooping. That guy played his ass off. Made plays. I mean, even standing in when guys are getting ready to tee off on him and delivering darts. He just looked absolutely fantastic. I'm sure some of the
darts
people
like a cigarette dispenser.
I'm sure some people in Columbus, certainly Travis was there. He can give us this insight. I'm sure a lot of people in Columbus today are going, well, we didn't play very well, but a great victory over a really good, really well-coached, physical opponent. And just a great – it lived up to every bit of the hype, in my opinion. What was it like being there, T?
Man, it was my first time truly back on campus. It's 2015. I was there in 2019, but I was working, so it was sober, so it doesn't count.
Listen to this guy. He sounds like he sounds like his voice has been manipulated. Like he's one of those guys on Dateline that they backlight. Actually, that's what Wes looks like and what Travis sounds like. Wes looks like the unnamed witness. Travis sounds like the voice manipulated CSI Gil Grissom voice manipulated witness.
It was fun. We get down to campus and
I'm sure he committed some crimes too, so it adds up.
My no crimes. I was actually good early on though in the day. Get down there about 2:ish, and my buddy had a college friend that hit us up and said, "Hey, come meet me, free drinks." And he got us into some VIP inside tailgate thing with free booze and food. And so by the time I got to the game, I actually didn't drink during the game because I was tuned up that I didn't need to drink, but it was electric. I mean, LeBron James is walking out. Joe Burrow was there. Jason Tatum was there. Just about every Ohio State player in the NFL was there. Like they put on a show. Like it reminded me of the 2006 Ohio State Michigan game and the 2005 Ohio State Texas game. That stadium was electric, and there were some moments where we did get quiet just because it was weird. And man, I was nervous. And you sent me and Golick a text, and when you sent that text of the leprechaun dancing, the pucker factor for me at that point, it was I was nervous.
I forget what my exact note was, but I did send Travis and Mike Golick Jr. and those of you who are all 7 of you who are avid listeners of the Marty Smith podcast know that Travis had a wager last weekend with Golick, with Gojo, that if Notre Dame beat Ohio State, Travis would have to dress as the Notre Dame Leprechaun mascot and go to Broadway, sing the Notre Dame fight song, and cut a jig down there on Broadway. So I did say I sent like a GIF.
It was a GIF of a leprechaun dancing, and you said Travis had Tootsies.
Travis on his way to Tootsies, and unfortunately for the rest of us, Travis's Ohio State Buckeyes did emerge as the winners of that game. I was impressed with Notre Dame, man. I really was. I thought it was going to be a lot larger spread than that.
I didn't think
Vegas.
I didn't think we would cover, but I thought it would be a little better. But they put on a show, and I think the general consensus from most rational fans, so that's like, 10% of the actual fan base.
You're being generous.
We're massively impressed by the defense. And with the offense, they've built up enough equity under Ryan Day where it's like, okay, they had a little rough, early start. They'll get it together. Nobody's worried about the offense. If it was flipped and we scored 50 points and gave up 40, fan base would be ready to be, calling for Jim Knowles' job. So I think overall, Ohio State fans are happy. Now we got a couple weeks before Wisconsin comes into town.
So Joe Burrow was at the Ohio State game. Do we know if he went to the LSU game as well? Because that might be an interesting development.
Well, listen.
He did put on his Instagram story a photograph of his soiled jersey. I think Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Clyde Rowe, I think it was those 4 jerseys on the field turf it's grass, but on the turf at Tiger Stadium in Death Valley. And he wrote "Go Tigers" on his Instagram. So he was there in spirit.
And you got to remember, it's much easier for him being in Cincinnati to get to Columbus, and he went with Sam Hubbard, who played at Ohio State too.
I know, I get it, but you know how everyone is. It's the optics of everything.
LSU fans have to be freaking out because LSU fans get so sensitive when Ohio State fans bring up Joe Burrow.
Let me tell you something. LSU fans are sensitive today. That game was overserved last night.
Unbelievable football game. I just couldn't believe what I was looking at. And on so many different levels, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. It just goes to show you, man, 3 phases of the game. You got to be so sound in all 3 phases. And I was talking to Kirby Smart last week ahead of the week 1 matchup against Oregon, and I asked him, what are the 3 most important things that I should know about your team going into this game? What 3 things must happen in order for you to win? And the last, I guess the second one he told me, or maybe last, was special teams. He said because nobody's really gone live. Nobody's gone full tilt, full speed in special teams. And week 1 is the first time you really see that. And Georgia specifically had a lot of new personnel on their special teams units. And then we see on Sunday night that LSU, kind of fell victim to that in different phases of special teams. They muff a punt that was very costly. They, of course, have that final extra point blocked to win the game for the Florida State Seminoles. Look, Mike Norvell needed that, man.
Did you see him out on the field for like 30 minutes while they were reviewing that difference in 1 second? I mean, that guy was on a tightrope, hoping that this game could go his way.
Well, you got to understand. He has been through it down there, man, and certainly a signature trademark victory, signature victory for him now in his tenure in Tallahassee. That program needed a huge win, and they certainly got it on the national stage with no distractions. I mean, I bet that game did an awesome number for ABC. Joe Tess and Greg did a great job on the call.
And they went into LSU's backyard. They went to New Orleans. That's LSU's territory. It's not like that wasn't a neutral game.
Yeah, can you imagine the blender of FSU fans and LSU fans on Bourbon Street? That is a very dangerous combination right there.
I remember after LSU won the national championship 2019, walking out of the stadium there at the Superdome, and just like I mean, I've never seen
walking into a sea of bourbon
quite like it, man. I mean, it was something else. Look, Brian Kelly's going to do great things there. He just is. You can put that on the board, but
my biggest takeaway from that game, Jordan Travis really impressed me. Like, he was running, but he wasn't gonna take off immediately. He kept his eyes down the field. Like, he stressed that defense out, and so many times he found a guy opening up at the last second. Like, he looked good.
He looked
like Patrick Mahomes Jr. out there.
I'll tell you who else looked good was Anthony Richardson for the Florida Gators. What I mean, so many games, from the backyard brawl to Utah going into the swamp to that one we just discussed on Sunday night. There were just unbelievably great games all over the place. I mean, North Carolina goes into Boone, into Appalachian State, and App scores 40 points in the fourth quarter. They combined for 62 points in the fourth quarter, I think. And Carolina emerges by stopping App.
That game and the LSU game. Have y'all seen the YouTube video of that 1994 high school game between John Tyler and Plano East?
Yes.
It's like it just twists your gut to watch a team come back like that and think they have a shot and then just lose at the end. If you haven't watched it, Marty, I don't know if you've seen it. It's incredible, and I don't know. It really makes you think about the things you're grateful for in life, because if you're one of those guys on the team that lost in that high school game, and the radio announcers, all of it, it is one of the most perfect YouTube videos that's ever been made.
I'll definitely check it out. But the NC State East Carolina game, State, everybody has massive expectations for State this year here in North Carolina, and they go over to Greenville, and ECU gave them everything that they could have imagined. And ECU had every opportunity to win the game. Kicker had a rough day. But, look, I mean, it was a wild weekend, week one of college football. And we have such a voracious appetite for this sport across this country. And just so many great games and great matchups, but I don't know.
All right, enough about that. Tell me about this career highlight moment with John Daly on the set of Marty and McGee.
Well, so JD's been a friend of mine for a while, and the folks at SEC Network asked me if I could get him to come on the show, and so of course I tried, and ultimately he said yes. And he's a humongous Arkansas fan, second biggest Arkansas fan I know behind JM and Justin Moore. And so John shows up, and he does Marty and McGee, and we have a good time. We're messing around and playing a little beer pong without the beer, and he was not very, very impressed by that. But they made the decision this year, my bosses did, that they wanted us to do Hillbilly Headlines twice. Hillbilly Headlines, for all 7 of you who listen to the podcast here, Hillbilly Headlines is a staple of the Marty and McGee program. We read Redneck News every single show, and people love it. I mean, they tune in a lot of times just to hear us do that. And my bosses decided they wanted us to do Hillbilly Headlines in Marty and McGee, and then they wanted us to do Hillbilly Headlines in SEC Nation as well. So the time increment between John reading his Hillbilly Headline on Nation and appearing on Marty and McGee was like 90 minutes or more probably. And so that 90 minutes must have entailed quite a few for John. I don't know, but I was off at a tailgate doing a different segment. McGee and I were. We get back anyway. We get back and I do my Stetson Bennett conversation, and then I run over to our set where JD and McGee are waiting for me. Sit down, and it's time to do Hillbilly Headlines again. So McGee's like, all right, we're going to get started with somebody that we believe is one of our people here. John Daly, lead us off or whatever. And JD just goes, well, I ain't going to lie, I'm drunk. And I couldn't breathe, man. Like, I could not breathe. I mean, it was one of the funniest things I've ever been a part of on TV, along with the viral video of us talking about Paul Feinbaum's haircut and Leave the Sides.
Well, I think this one might pass it because it has like the lightning strike. You get to the punchline in a matter of like 3 seconds. This thing's going to be viral as well.
What's interesting is that was the headline that John had. That was this guy who got pulled over and looked right at the cop and goes, hey, man, I ain't going to lie, I'm drunk. So it was just this beautiful, symbiotic, seamless transition moment. And, you know, John's entire brand is vodka and lung darts and major championships. I mean, that's John's brand. And so it just was unbelievable, man. And it really did. I don't know if I've ever had a moment that I got on the airplane to fly home, okay? We left Arkansas and went straight to the Northwest Arkansas airport. We go through security. We have like 8 minutes before we board the plane. All of us are in the bar just firing back beers as fast as we can get them in. And as I got on the airplane, I got a text message. Forgive me, I don't remember from whom. But I get a text message, and he's like, bro, look at this shit. And it was a tweet. And I hit the tweeter, and the video, which had been posted like 45 minutes ago, had done 968,000 views already. And then yesterday, yesterday being Sunday, I was sitting there. I got done with my workout, and I got done with all my stuff I was doing in the morning. And, watching college football final with my brother from another, the great Matt Berry, and the boys, and watching my church service, et cetera, et cetera. And I just put on the tweeter, name this band. That's all I wrote. I mean, it has hundreds of responses.
What was the best one you saw?
I don't even know, man. I don't do a whole lot of looking at Twitter. I mean, I did see one thing where
Lebitard had a good one.
That one I actually had to. I texted Lebitard's to John Daly. I'm like, look at this.
What was it?
Lebitard boys made they took my photo, and they doctored the photo to look more artsy, and all it says is drunk across the top, and it says it has the parental explicit lyrics warning on it. Really funny. John loved it.
The shelves.
Of course, you know JD. He wrote back like, I don't know about them, but that looks like three sexy MFers to me.
So, Paul Pabs from Dan Patrick's Show tweeted straight out of Razors. This other fan tweeted.
McGee did shave the other day though, but he, I guess he took a bunch of grief for cutting off his beard, so he grew it back.
Here's one. The person, Vol and SC tweeted, Leonard Skinner covered band, quote, ooh, that smell.
There are, I mean, I know there's hundreds
ZZ
of responses.
Bottom.
I had to laugh.
ZZ Bottom.
The most Twitter machine thing I may have ever seen is this. So I got on there this morning. I was looking through a lot of the college football programs' feeds, and I saw a tweeter directed at me from this 8-year-old little boy who plays like Pop Warner football or whatnot. And his name's Austin P. Ryan, I think.
Yeah.
His brother played at Florida, LaMichael P. Ryan. And Austin wanted me to retweet his highlights. And so I'm looking at it, and I'm making sure it's legit, and I still haven't done it yet, Austin. I'll take a look here shortly, bud. But I click on it, and I'm watching this little –
at least a 3
just
star.
making sure again, I just don't engage in it very much, and that's where I'm going with this. A gentleman writes back, Marty doesn't reply, but he's still a pretty good guy. What the God, I hate Twitter.
I know you don't need to have a LinkedIn, really, but that should be your LinkedIn bio. I don't reply, but I'm still a pretty good guy.
People judge other people based off of their engagement on a social media platform.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Yeah, that's why I say this, Marty. People wonder when technology is going to take over the world. I know you don't know what Skynet is. That's a Terminator reference. You told me in the past you've never seen Terminator, which I can't really understand.
Same.
Wrap my head around that one. But people wonder when technology is going to take us over. It already has, man. We're already here. We're just living on Twitter. We're living on Instagram. And that's what it boils down to.
All right, I've got 2 more names here. Mike Keene said Southern Comfort. I like that one.
Pretty good.
And then Chuck Williams said Triple Bogey.
Triple Bogey.
I'm sure there are many not suitable for a family program. But
speaking of cold beer,
Sam Pittman,
one of the best post-game interviews I've ever heard of.
Travis, you complain about all the dog stuff on the show, but I think we talk about the Razorbacks more than anybody.
I almost wore a Razorback hat. My boys down there, I do want to take a minute to shout out my guys down there, Big Dalt. Speaking of social media, this year I'm trying to do TikTok. ESPN has told us. I know, man. It's weird, man. Like I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. ESPN told us during our college football seminar, like they had this graphic up on the screen, and like TikTok is like a big deal, right? So I'm trying to learn it. Austin, what's up, Hoss?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, boss man? Thanks for your time, dude.
Man, I can't complain, and no problem at all. Thanks for having me.
I just want to get started with, as a guy born and raised in the South.
Right.
All right. Were you a Braves fan growing up?
I was. I was more so I was just a baseball player fan. So I was a big fan of Yadier Molina, big fan of Pujols, big fan of Chipper. So I watched all that around me, but obviously, I grew up watching the Braves all the time. So in a way, yeah, I was.
All right. So I guess now that we have that on the table, I should maybe introduce our guest. It's Atlanta Braves superstar Austin Riley. Good morning again.
Good morning. Like I said, thanks for having me.
That said, I grew up in the South too, and I'm so proud to be Southern. I'm so grateful that I was born and raised in the South. And all of us from Virginia and Appalachia, where I grew up, all the way to the absolute tip of Georgia and west, were Atlanta Braves fans growing up. So having had that as a kid and now being like what is it like when the dream is your reality? Like, I actually play for the Atlanta Braves and at the highest level.
No, it's crazy. I grew up, all I've known my whole life is baseball. I mean, since pretty much day one, I had a baseball bat in my hand. Growing up, summers were, I didn't go have summers where I went to the beach or the lake, or it was going to the baseball fields. So, I've always had that passion, and I spent a lot of time in Atlanta, at the World Wood Bat. Like, I spent, my early teenager years, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, I spent weeks and weeks in Atlanta playing summer ball. So growing up, around that Atlanta area a little bit, like to now then, being, Atlanta Brave to, winning a World Series to, hopefully be here the rest of my career. Like I can't put it into words, how extremely blessed I am and fortunate I've been.
Did you grow up Hotty Toddy or Hail State?
Oh, Hail State.
Oh, he's Hail State, man. Come on, bro.
So my follow-up question to that, I know you've been to a bunch of games. You've seen how fired up SEC football fans can get. But now that the Braves, it's been several years in a row where they've at least made the playoffs.
Right.
How does this Atlanta home crowd atmosphere start to compare to some of those SEC crowds? Because for a while, Austin, the Braves just didn't have that kind of buzz at games, whether it was in the postseason or not. But they got it rolling at Truist right now.
Yeah, well, I think we broke the season single attendance record, and we still got a month left of season.
Unbelievable.
No, there's, Atlanta fans are the best. They're super passionate. They love the game. I tell guys, I didn't realize how deep Atlanta fans were and like the roots and all that until we won the World Series and we came back and did the whole parade thing. That was absurd. Like to see, like we had basically two different parades. We had like downtown Atlanta parade, like where we drove through, and it was just like, you couldn't fit another person in there. And then once we got to the Battery, it was like like it was unreal. I mean, they shut down, they let school out for the day. I'm sure work was let out. That people were just skipping work. No, they don't compare to anybody else. And like I said, what we've, Atlanta's, and the Braves have built like that Battery whole setup right there. Just, all my buddies that come, spend a weekend. It's like they go to the field early just to hang out at the Battery and then come to the game. So it's just unbelievable setup, and fans are awesome.
Yeah, the Battery's great.
It's interesting that you say that it was the parade that really drove home the magnitude of it for you. I was interviewing Stetson Bennett, Georgia's quarterback, just last week in Athens, and I asked him, he wrote a movie, this dude. I don't know if you know his story,
I kept up with
his story is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing. He said when they did the parade, he's looking around at all of these people going, my God, this means so much to these folks.
It really does. I mean, like when we went to the Battery at one point, there was apartment buildings, side by or in between us. And like there were fans like just on top of the building. I mean, like you could, everywhere you looked, there were fans. Like it was crazy.
You had a video on your Instagram right around the All-Star game time, and full of gratitude to be an All-Star, all of those things. And the background music, the underlaid music was "South on You" by Luke Combs. All right, how do you carry? Obviously, you're a big country music guy. All of us are too, but that was interesting to me that you chose that song. How do you still carry, with all your success, you've now seen the country for sure, and maybe the world, I don't know. How do you carry those Mississippi roots?
I just try to be as humble and as, I still say, people get on to me and I still say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, to everybody. Like, it's just like part of me.
That's a
and
good
they're like,
thing.
And then they're just like, you don't have to do that. It's just, I go home every off season. I absolutely love Atlanta, but by the time season's over with, I got to get back to my small town.
Wow, what is it? Why?
I think it's who I am. It's what I've known from. I'm a homebody, and I care. I care about the little things, and I think that's what a little town. That's just like everybody kind of knows everybody. They, it's all about the little things. It's the simple. Grilling out on a weekend and having a few beers, shooting some skeet, or whether it's at deer camp and you're sharing stories of last year, hoping you kill another one the next day. It's just like those little, I think, moments and stuff that I wish, people that didn't know about it or hadn't experienced it could, because, it kind of, it puts life into perspective for me.
The quarterback and the all-state punter of the high school football team always wants to come home, Marty. Come on. That's what it's all about. Austin,
right.
what was your high school football experience like? Just talking about how the South stays with you. That is uniquely Southern. When you look back on how much high school football meant to your hometown and meant to you, what are some memories that stick out there?
Oh, I loved the Friday nights. So my freshman and sophomore year, I quarterbacked, and then obviously that's kind of the time when baseball was getting like pretty serious. I committed to Mississippi State sophomore year. Summers were booked with baseball. So, and this is about the time 7-on-7 was getting like really big, and I just couldn't commit to both. I ended up going to my coach and was like, hey, with 7-on-7 and stuff, I'm just not. It's just too much. There was a guy there that was fully committed to football, quarterback. So I was like, hey, I can't commit to this, but I still want to be a part of the team. So I ended up just taking over my junior and senior year, all of the kicking game. So I punted, kicked, and kicked off. And it was awesome. My cousin, Keegan, he was the long snapper. So we'd show up 15 minutes, first part of practice, go over special teams, and then get the heck out of there and go to baseball. So
what number did you wear as a special teamer?
Do what?
What number did you wear in high school?
Oh, shoot. I think I can't even remember.
Because
You hit me with a good one.
I'm
Bro,
envisioning,
you're
like,
only
the-
25. That wasn't but like
I know,
7
I know.
years ago.
I know, right?
Not getting too many
My
head-to-head
coaches
contact
wouldn't-
issues with the
my coaches
punter.
Wouldn't call us. He wouldn't call us athletes. He was like, "Y'all aren't athletes." I'm like, "That's messed up."
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But
What's he say? I bet he's not saying that now.
no. But
Just so you know, real quick, one of the guys that wrote South on you is a great friend of mine. His
Oh,
name's
nice.
Dan Isbell, and he is a Mississippi State Bulldog.
Heck
By
yeah.
God.
Heck
He's
yeah.
a cowbell ringing sumbitch.
Oh, yeah.
What.
we got a W this Saturday, so that was a good
I
start.
know. The whole SEC did, except for
Right.
LSU last night.
Yeah, what about that? Oof.
I mean, did you watch it?
Yeah, I were keeping up with it. That was an interesting turn of events.
A real interesting turn of events. We were talking about it earlier in the show. I mean, it just shows you how vital all three phases of the game are.
Mm-hmm.
And when all those coaches annoy the hell – I mean, look, my real job is college football, right?
Right.
That's my real job.
Right.
But when all those coaches give us all that coach speak stuff and we just roll our eyes about fundamentals and blocking and tackling, we're like, whatever, man.
Yeah, you just don't. It's the same thing
There
as
we
for
are.
us. It's like when we have to go through in spring the whole PFPs, blunt defense. It's like you don't want to do it, but that moment that it shows up, you got to be able to execute it. And if you don't, that's when it gets talked about.
What's the college football fandom like in the clubhouse?
Pretty solid. I mean, it was on. I think everybody's just more just. For me, I'm not the biggest NFL fan. I'm college football. Like as soon as college
You
football's
on the right show, boss.
yeah, it's all about like it doesn't matter who's playing. I'm watching college football. So it's all over. We every TV day before yesterday it was on every TV all the games. So we keep up with it for sure.
Austin, can you explain the dynamic of playing for a guy like Brian Snitker? You mentioned the interaction you had with your high school football coach, but it's different in Major League Baseball. Snit just kind of sets things up for you guys unless you go out there and execute. You've also got Ron Washington pushing you as kind of a traditional brand to your rear end to keep you motivated and all those things you don't want to do, like you said, in fielding. But playing for Brian Snitker, a guy that really has a similar story to an underdog like Stetson Bennett, just been hanging around the Braves forever, an interim guy, and then lo and behold leads the Braves to a World Series. What kind of presence does he bring to this organization?
Very like poised, like nothing. He's going to let you go play, and I think that's what for me personally is helped me progress in my game. Is just you're going to play every day. Us position players, we know that we're going to get in there every day and play. And like you said, he just he has that confidence. He doesn't may go through like a little slump. He's not going to say anything to you. He's just going to let you kind of do your thing. And I think that's what he, like you said, he just has that no sense of panic ever. It's just he goes out about his business and manages the game. And kind of what you said, that his story is pretty sweet. And I think that's what I said it a lot last year when we won a World Series. It's, Snitker, Freddie, those guys that came before us or had been here before, for sure me, and been through those dog days of, when Atlanta was not good and to see, kind of, that rebuild and them stick through it. And to them win, me be a part of helping them win a World Series, that was, I think, the coolest moment for me. And just like I said, to see what all they've been through and finally get, be at the, the top of the top was pretty cool. He's awesome.
Brother, you mentioned being a pretty simple guy. Don't need a whole lot. But I can't help but wonder how does signing the richest contract in the history of a franchise, I mean, how does $200+ million guaranteed impact a life? I mean, try to encapsulate for us like what that is.
I've always feel like I've been, taught to give more than I get. So I'm pretty simple. I people have come up and asked me that question a couple of times. I was like, all I want personally is to, set my family up. Obviously have, financial security for my kids. And I want hunting land. I want a big piece of hunting land that I can, when baseball's over with, you may never see me again. And that's really about it. I want something back in Mississippi, that I can, grow my own. And, that's the goal.
You can afford to go on a lot more trips with Chipper now too. So that's great news.
That is true.
How much did he impact your Braves fandom growing up?
He was someone, obviously playing third base. He's someone that you looked at and tried to mimic your game. And I think what I've learned from him the most is just the mental side of the game. Being able to talk with him, through the minor league system and early on when I got called up is just how to dissect a pitcher, how to try to be a couple pitches ahead of them. Like how, if they throw this, there's a good chance this is coming. Just learning how to almost think along with the pitcher and even a catcher, how they call games. Because, some guys get in tendencies. Just being able to, like I said, the mental side of the game, I think is what I've learned the most from him.
Awesome.
Have you gone hunting with Chipper yet?
I haven't. I have not. Hopefully that links up at some point. I know he's in Nebraska right now where I go with the Realtree guys. So he's on a pretty good one. So I hope he kills.
I know that you're about to do some work with Moultrie. I think they're a huge backer and partner of ours.
Okay, sweet.
Here at Outsider and this podcast. They're wonderful people. Hannah and everybody over there have been so great to us here at Outsider and on this podcast. If you could go, like, what is the best type of hunting? I'm a bow hunting guy.
Yeah.
I'd rather leave every gun at the house and just take a bow. Where are you on this?
So I'm, I have a couple bucket lists. I want to kill a huge buck with my bow in Iowa. Like that's one goal. And then I want to, once I'm done with baseball, September, elk while they're bugling. That's my two bucket lists. And that's probably, don't really want to go to, Africa or anywhere. I just want to, elk, whitetail, and probably a mule deer. Those are my
How
three.
did you get introduced to hunting? Your old man?
A little bit more. My uncle Heath. That's what I killed my first deer with my Uncle Heath. My dad.
How old were you?
Fish. I was, I think I was 8. I
Oh
killed my
my gosh,
first one.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So, no, my dad's more of a fisherman. Loves to fish. Killed my first deer with my Uncle Heath, and killed my first deer with my uncle with my bow. So he's the one that's kind of driven that passion there.
Outstanding, man. Yeah, I mean, when you learn from a guy like Uncle Heath, it's going to be a lot more fun than going on the trip with your dad because Uncle Heath lets you get by with a lot more, right?
Uncle Heath is the fun uncle.
Right. Yeah, he's from a small town, and you may know Winona, Mississippi, not far from Starkville. Yeah, so I spent a lot of time growing up there, weekends, especially during hunting season. I was begging my mom to go down there to spend time at hunting camp with them.
You get to listen to 3 country artists the rest of your career. Who are they?
Oh, Jesus.
That's a tough one.
You won't get asked. You will not get asked a more difficult question the rest of the 2022
No one's
season.
asking you
than
this
that
in the
one.
Braves clubhouse. I can guarantee it.
George Strait, Luke Holmes, and Hank Williams Jr.
I mean, that's a pretty damn good trio,
Hey,
Bubba.
right? I think that's pretty solid there.
What's Straight's best song?
Ooh.
I just said you wouldn't get asked a more difficult
that's
question in
right.
22, and I lied.
Well, he's got about 500 number
Troubadour
ones to
is a
pick
good
from. So.
one. I like them all. I mean, I just, I think between him and Luke Holmes, they just don't write a bad song.
What is your walk-up song right now, Austin? I haven't been to a game in about a month.
Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme song.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's badass.
That's a real good one.
Does it actually
That's a
fire
really,
you up?
really
Do you
good
even hear it, or are you just so locked in when you get?
No,
to the
I
plate?
hear it. Like it
Okay.
gets me like that first little beat gets me going. It's kind of locked it in.
I love that. I always wonder if it actually does anything for the guys, or if it's just like a little flair of what they like.
Oh
or-
yeah. No, it's that like Michael Harris has like 50 of them. So
Yeah,
he just kind of
he
rotates.
changes it up, but
So
hey, he's a
he-
young
he,
cat. He can't really lock in and focus as much. He's a little bit easily distracted.
Right. Yeah. No.
Speaking of teammates, your boy Spencer Strider,
The stash,
my
baby.
man is just hooping right now. I mean,
Right.
this guy is unbelievable. He has world-class lip fur.
He's built like a frog, man. He has like no
he
upper
has a
body.
peace sign stitched into his ball glove. He seems like he's a Clemson Tiger.
Right.
Like, you got to tell us a story about this cat. You have to have like an unbelievable. He seems like one of those dudes like Eddie Harris.
You want to
that-
talk about a guy that looks like
Like-
he'd be on 48 Hours with his face blurred out. Like he looks like a stone cold killer, dude.
Yeah. No. I mean, he's pretty like, he's super into his health. Like he's vegan. Like he's like the most. He's pretty jacked. Like he's like his legs are huge, but he's like the most flexible guy. Like I know, it's like his little superstition thing, and he may not want me to tell this, but I know he shaves everything like his thing like right the day before his start to make sure that the mustache is popping.
it is popping.
Yeah.
If it is nothing else, it is popping.
He should
Right,
take out
yeah.
an insurance policy on that stash right now because I think it has magical powers.
I tell you, the funniest thing is like whenever, because they give out mustache, like little stick-on mustaches at the game, and like they'll like when he's starting, they'll like go around the camera and like 60, 70-year-old women are like mustached up.
Well, last
Like
year you had
rocking this.
40-year-old men
Pearls.
wearing pearl necklaces.
Pearls. Yeah.
So it's like it cracks me up. It's pretty good. He like I said, and what he did the other night was, I think Max Fried says like, man, you shouldn't even take out a glove to third base, which I really.
Have you been a part of an individual performance like that with the Braves that jumps out in your memory? That was
No,
remarkable.
I haven't. I mean, just the pure dominance of what he, displayed was what was the most impressive to me. It's just like, I've been on the other side of that, like facing a DeGrom, like you just don't have a chance. Like it's just one of those days you got to tip your cap.
Yeah.
It's either DeGrom or Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins. He's pretty gross, especially when he's feeling fresh. So.
All right, before we get you out of here, just give us your perspective on the rest of the season. You guys are playing extremely well,
Right.
And it looks very promising again, brother.
I like where we're at. We got a really good squad, and I think, I think a lot of what goes unnoticed, when a team's trying to make a run is just the camaraderie and the clubhouse like dynamic, and we got a really good one. Like we got a good core group. We pull for each other, and I think that kind of, when you go through those struggles, that's what helps you pull through. Is when you have a group of guys that are pulling for each other, and I think we're, obviously we want to be in first place, and we're still chasing the Mets. I think we're one game back right now. And I like where we're at. We're playing good baseball. Even this little stretch Dansby and I were talking about, it's like we left a lot of runs out there from an offensive standpoint. So it's like, we still got some stuff to clean up there, and I think that's encouraging because, like I said, we're winning ball games, and I'm looking forward to this last month and see where we're at in the playoffs.
Austin, not to take anything away from the guys that are out there succeeding, but the biggest testament to how dynamic your clubhouse was last season with Ronald going down, and this season with Ozzie not being able to go, and Ronald not playing to his standard, not playing to the level that he would want to, and you guys are still mashing, man. And I think that really AA's assembly of the team, the roster is obviously amazing, but you guys are a true team, and that's what makes it so fun to watch. So obviously we're all pulling for you.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Yeah, it should be a good little run this next month.
One of the more regrettable, I promise we'll let you run. One of the more regrettable days of my life was in the Danville, Virginia bowling alley. Were you in Danville, Virginia long enough to ever go to that bowling alley and drink cold beer?
But I feel like I was like forced on Bojangles like every day. So I didn't, I remember the Danville days for sure.
One thing we do on this show is we champion our veterans. We're so grateful for freedom. We're so grateful that we can walk out the door every day and do and be whatever we want.
Right.
Because we live in a free land, and it's because of them.
No doubt.
And I know that you are extremely engaged in championing our veterans. Share with us how.
Yeah, no, I had my first, charity event teaming up with Red, White, and Blue. And I think it was just more so of just, I don't have any military, family, like no military background, but it was like growing up in the outdoors, watching hunting, you saw like on the outdoor channel of, these outdoorsmen taking these veterans hunting and seeing like the just the joy on their faces, learning their stories. So, whenever, I was fortunate enough to sign to Atlanta long term, I think that was something that was always been passionate, and for that. And like I said, hopefully one day, if I do get this, my dream land and purchase that, like that's something that I want to do is to take veterans hunting, learn their stories. Because like I said, I feel like they get put on the back burner, especially these days. So just try to raise as much awareness in that. And, like I said, it's something that's dear to me, and hopefully it's what we did this year at Topgolf was outstanding. My team did a great job, and hopefully it just builds on that every year for the next however many years it takes place.
What a lot of people don't know about that is that you guys had just wrapped up a game very late the night before, and you still made it, and your teammates still made it.
Yeah,
and
that was awesome.
awesome.
Teammate. I mean, we got in at I think 4:30 in the morning, and I had 15 teammates show up. So the support that they showed was awesome. Snit showed up too, so it was good turnout for sure.
Love it.
You're so right. It's vital that folks with large platforms take the time and the initiative to care for our veterans,
no doubt,
and appreciate our veterans and promote what they're going through. So really appreciate you doing that, and thank you for your time, boss.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Austin.
Have an amazing rest of the season, and go Dogs. Those dogs. Sorry, Wes, those dogs.
It's okay. We got dogs on dogs a little bit later this season, but we can hold off until then.
What an awesome job to Travis to get him on and have the opportunity to. We're this little old podcast and have the opportunity to chat with all stars. And one of the big reasons is because of Moultrie, because of what Austin is doing with those guys, with Hannah and everybody at Moultrie. I love their products. I know they're doing a whole lot with Cutler as well on outsider platforms. I just asked her for more of these. These just came. I got them everywhere. If you guys want to have great trail cameras, these are the ones. The Moultrie Micro 42i. I mean, I think it's 13,000 images. It has an invisible flash. What I love about it is it has an invisible flash. And thereby you're not spooking animals, you're not scaring animals. They are moving freely through your food plots and moving freely across their normal pathways hither and yon. And
we've got a garden plot, Marty, and something keeps getting in and destroying our watermelons.
Well, I need to send you one of these, Wesley, so you can figure out what it is.
Yeah.
You need the Moultrie Micro 42i, buddy.
Yeah, I'll hook it
and
up.
I love to hear, when you sign a contract like Austin did with the Braves, I mean, it's $212 million. you just go, holy bleep. But I love his answer. Look, I'm a pretty simple dude. I just want my family to be well taken care of and well cared for. I want to give. I want to be philanthropic and care for other people. I want to give back to veterans with that money. And I want to buy a bunch of land back home in Mississippi so I can go slay huge bucks. I love it.
And I got to say, Wes, I didn't know that part of it. I knew about the charity, but the fact that,
So
him
that's
and his teammates
the
were out
added
till
benefit you have from someone that lives near the Atlanta market, daily listener of 680 The Fan and their Atlanta Braves content, and I heard one of Austin's teammates talking about it and gave me some intel that I needed to make this show really sing. So good job to you, and I'm glad I could deliver a little something myself.
So you mentioned, he brought up Luke Combs, and you mentioned him too. Did you see? I mean, Luke Combs, we know is an awesome guy. Did you see what he did for his fans in Maine?
Nope.
So,
No.
Well, there's two stories. One, there's these little kids. I think it was the first show in Maine. They had a sign that they did yard work to raise money to buy tickets to the concert. Luke gave him $150 out of his pocket, and then said, "My guy's gonna take you, meet you, and I'm gonna pay you for the rest of what you spent for your tickets because you worked hard to get that money to buy the tickets."
That's awesome.
Then the next night he comes out, and before the show, I want to say it's before the show starts, he talks about how he's not feeling well and he's going to refund their money, everybody's money at the show, and you can feel it they're going to be disappointed. He goes, "Hold on a second." He goes, "I'm still going to sing. I can't do it at the level that I want to do it at. I need you to help me sing, but I'm still performing, but I'm refunding your money because I can't give you the show that you deserve."
Dang, that gives me chills, man.
I mean, and you could see he takes his hat off and starts to kind of well up, and I mean, just what an awesome dude to go out there and be like, "I can't give you what I deem is what you deserve." And just an awesome thing by him.
Well, they're very aware of. I mean, one thing about Luke that I love is if you really, really dive into his writing, and one thing I love about him as an artist is he writes it all, along with some really talented guys, the Isbell brothers and Ray Fulcher and all those guys, Jonathan Singleton. The guys he writes with are his homeboys. And one thing they're very in tune with is, they write about this, that people are saving money. They're saving 3-4 weeks worth of paychecks in order to have the money to go see them play and buy the parking and buy the tickets and all the stuff, so that one time they can see that person perform. And it's one thing I admire so much about Eric. You will never see anybody like that. You'll never see a better live performance than Eric Church gives you. You will not. From anybody in any genre ever. He absolutely sells out in every possible way. And, you talk about free shows. I mean, Laney and I were just sitting there last night having some cocktails out here at the pool. And I was talking about Eric playing New Braunfels, Texas. And those makeup shows that he played because he went to the Final Four to watch North Carolina Tar Heels in the Final Four. Those were free shows. He refunded everybody's money.
Yeah, no one really reported on that as much as they reported on him canceling.
Well, there you go. Well, I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Only source of news I need, Marty Smith podcast.
We're really grateful that Austin took the time. I mean, look, y'all, you got to understand when
He's out west right now too.
he's out west, he's one of the best players in Major League Baseball. I mean, he's a daggum all-star, and just amazing that he took the time. Really appreciate him and our great friends at Moultrie, Travis, helping get him on, and he was awesome. I love getting that perspective about the clubhouse. I love getting the perspective about the cohesion, what he believes their potential is, and the way they're playing right now, it certainly seems like their potential is extremely lofty.
Yep.
Travis, of all people, told us that he has some
Here we go, Travis.
parental
Let's hear it.
You guys are gonna
parental advice for us.
You guys are gonna love this. So I stayed at my friend's house, and he's married and has a 3-year-old. And so it's Saturday morning, and I'm up at 6 a.m. and the light's on in my room, but the door's closed, and I'm just on my phone. And it's 6:15, 6:30, and all
Why
of a
are
sudden
you up at 6 a.m.?
why is anybody up? I woke up. So,
If I was unencumbered like you are, I'd be asleep till like 9 a.m., bro.
Listen, I wake
What
up
are
at
you
like
doing?
6 every day, Wes.
Okay.
He really does. That is
I
a
did
fact.
not know that
can't-
about you.
can't
And
It's kind
dispute
of a
so-
that.
surprising fact.
I hear this little voice. I need help. Help. So I open up my door, and the bathroom is across the hall, and my buddy's 3-year-old is standing there. He's got his shirt on and his pants at his ankles. I pooped and I need help wiping. And I'm like, oh.
It is a challenge when you have those short little arms. There's a long
And
way to
so,
go.
and I knew that the parents are asleep, and could I have gone in and woke them up? And they even said, "Why didn't you wake me up?" And I was like, "Well, you guys are sleeping." So,
Travis, tell me you didn't wipe this kid's butt.
so I go, "All right." And so he's
Travis,
standing,
tell
and
me.
for people they need to watch the video. So he's standing like this, and so the toilet's to his right, and so I start walking in. He literally just goes like this and turns and sticks his butt out. And so at 6:30 in the morning, I'm having to wipe this little kid's ass.
If that don't wake you up, you're still asleep.
That right there is a big old serving of no-dos, let me tell you, son.
And so then later in that day, we're at his soccer practice, like 10 in the morning, and my buddy's parents were in town, and the dad were
And
telling
he's like, hey, see that guy over there? I made him wipe my ass for me.
and so my buddy's dad's like, so this is what your Saturday mornings are like, right? And I'm like, no, David, they are not. And his mom's like, well, what are they normally like? I'm like, hungover.
It's funny you say that, Travis, because you get conditioned. It doesn't take you long to not be scared of the bodily functions of a toddler when you're a parent. But for
it
someone who
smelled
doesn't deal
so
with that
bad.
every day, I have to imagine that was a pretty aggressive wake-up call.
It smelled so bad, and it was everywhere. Like, it was. I like not having kids.
It was,
Well,
I mean, there are more times that I can count that we had blowouts.
It wasn't a blowout. To its credit,
Every parent can relate.
to his credit, he made it to it was in the toilet. Like, he didn't poop his pants, luckily.
oh gosh, he's 3. Yeah, I mean,
But
hopefully
yeah.
he's somewhere in the neighborhood.
Travis got really excited when he said poop his pants. There was a lot of peas popping in his microphone.
But yeah, so that was part
Travis
of the weekend.
loves using those mommy
Travis,
words.
when was the last time you pooped your pants?
When's the last time you TT'd on yourself, Travis?
Oh, I mean, I know I've pissed myself when I was drunk before. Probably like
I have a buddy who will remain nameless who once we went out and had a couple too many. And we crashed at a friend's house, and he got up in the middle of the night and went to the John. And
it's a laundry basket, wasn't it?
woke up the next morning, and we're just kind of hanging out, and the oven gets turned on for like some
No.
Pillsbury Swiss cake rolls.
No.
And all of a sudden it's like, why is the oven door open? And what's in there? Like, why is it all wet? My buddy had relieved himself in the oven.
That ain't oven cleaner, boss.
Nope.
Yeah, you got to watch out for your friends who have urinary issues when they drink, because everyone knows someone who does, and you just got to keep your
Sounds
head
like
on straight.
Travis is one.
Yeah, it does sound like that. Learning a lot about Travis in this last little home stretch segment.
I almost
You
had
still haven't answered me why you're backlit like a Dateline anonymous source.
It's Labor Day weekend, and I'm at an alternate recording location.
You're at the cabin or something?
he's at his lake studio.
Yeah. Studio B, baby. I have a ring light, I promise, but it's just no match for what's behind me right now, and this was really the only place I could do the show, so
Well,
we're
I've
rocking
been there,
with
dude.
it.
I'm not judging at all. I've done
Yeah.
Marty and McGee. I've done Marty and McGee over to Emberglow Resort, and I looked like an extra on Ghost.
Well, it doesn't help that you started this podcast, you got the video started, and you didn't have your shirt on, and
Yeah, I was
think
nervous.
we'd have to blur that out to show the public cannot see how pasty you are.
A
So
lot
I
of
am.
noise in the show made me nervous.
I'm a brand of pale that is very difficult to duplicate. However, I am fit. On that note, I gotta be honest with y'all about something before we get out of here. I have always been a workout snob. I've always been completely averse, not even averse, like judgmental almost, of app classes, like app workout classes.
Like pre-recorded stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Lainey loves them. Like Lainey does them all the time. She loves them, and she feels motivated watching them. But I've always been the guy like, man, I was an athlete once. Like I know how to work out. I don't need somebody telling me how to work out on an app. They're not going to motivate me. Well, recently I have been bored with my workouts. So I have a Peloton, and I do the bike all the time and whatnot. But the Peloton application has all these different workouts on it, right? So for the last few days, I have sucked it up and said, I'm going to go do this Peloton workout. I'm going to make myself do it. Boys, I got to be honest with you. They have whipped my ass. They have, and they're short, not like they're like hour-long workouts.
They're like 25 minutes.
20 and 30 minutes. I try to do 30 minutes, and I do the most advanced level, 30-minute advanced. And they have whipped my tail, if I'm being completely honest. They're awesome. Lainey's tired of me talking about them already. I'm like, babe, you got to try these workouts. And she's looking at me like, hey, dumbass, I do them all the time already. I've been telling you need to do them. So, and I can do them on the road because they're right here on my devil's communicator.
I got some free advice for you, workout tip. We talked a few months ago about the song that you don't want your friends to know that actually motivates you in the gym.
Yep.
Well, this is somewhat similar to that. I wasn't listening to any music, and I was trying to do the next level up, an increase in weight on my bench press routine last week before I mangled my foot. And I was on the last rep, and I swear to you guys, I envisioned Irk Russell's bleeding forehead above me, yelling at me, calling me names that I won't repeat on the show because my daughter's around. But I envisioned him just headbutting me and motivating me, and I did extra reps. And I didn't need an app for that. So sometimes the power is just between your ears.
It's like old Rory McIlroy told me one time when I asked him, what's the most difficult golf course you've ever played? And he said, the 6-inch golf course between my ears.
Yeah.
We are a motivational marvel here on the Marty Smith podcast.
A complete 180 from what we're talking about. I just saw this come across my Twitter feed. At the Cleveland Metro Parks Zoo, the zoo is currently in a lockdown mode as wolves have escaped their habit.
Where's
Habitat?
This? What state?
The Cleveland Metro Parks Zoo.
Okay.
So I'm guessing
So if
Cleveland,
you're in
Ohio.
a surrounding state of Ohio, you too may need to lock down just to be safe because wolves can cover some ground.
I found another song that I'm embarrassed that really gets me pumped up.
Let's hear it.
My first one, of course, was Cher. I found someone. And then I just realized that, because going back to the Peloton, Peloton has this thing called lane break, where it's not your traditional classes with an instructor telling you what to do. It's almost like a video game kind of deal where you get points for how hard you're running, how fast you're or cycling, how fast, how difficult the challenge is, all this stuff, right? And Lainey and I both love those too. But anyway, I did the Madonna Pop Divas lane break, and Madonna Open Your Heart really got me pumped up, dude. Like I was dominating the Peloton when I heard her say, open your heart to me, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a jam, man. All right.
We're going to have to pay Madonna for that.
Well, Travis is just going to have to, bleep it out or whatever. But
Because we know that she's a big listener.
really appreciate Austin Riley taking the time to share his insight with three degenerate knuckleheads. Travis, I'm glad you made it. I hate the fact that you don't have to dress like a leprechaun and go sing on Broadway. Wesley, congratulations to your Georgia Bulldogs.
Thanks. Fun
They
to watch.
got a real big one coming up here in a couple weeks, potentially at the University of South Carolina. We shall see.
Got to take on the Beamers at noon in
and-
Columbia, and if you've been there, you know that it can just melt your flesh. So
Rowdy
tough.
up in that place. Really appreciate our law enforcement officials taking so much effort to keep our communities safe. Fire and rescue, thank you guys to our first responders for all of your heroism, saving lives every single day. Our teachers, thank you for what you're doing. You're helping all of us raise our kids and doing your very best to teach them right from wrong and teach them the way that we're trying to teach them here at home. It's a very difficult job. Thank y'all. And thank you so much to our United States military, all branches. Thank you for your sacrifice. We're free, and we're grateful to be free. Really appreciate Moultrie being such an awesome sponsor. Thank you, guys. You have been unbelievably supportive of what we're doing at Outsider, so thank you.
And any sponsor that helps me get a guest, I love them. So Moultrie's number one.
Thank y'all for taking the time. Hope you enjoy it. Subscribe, rate, review, follow, whatever all you're supposed to do. Talk about us on social media, TikTok, Twitter machine, I don't even know, Instagram. And let's buy Wes. We need some funding. We got to buy Wes a new light. Have a great week, everybody.
My light's good. My light's good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.